polished marble floors, turning everything into a shimmering blur. Elena adjusted her camera lens, capturing the forced smiles of executives and donors pretending to care about the charity printed across the banners. She'd been on her feet for 5 hours, weaving between servers carrying champagne and guests laughing too loudly. This job would cover rent if she was careful. Maybe groceries, too, if she didn't have to replace any gear this month. Her shoulders ached, and her throat felt dry from recycled air and polite small talk she never wanted to engage in. By the time the coordinator told her she could leave, the clock had slipped past 11. Elena packed fast, tucking her camera carefully into its padded bag before pushing her way through the last of the guests. Outside, the city had shifted. The clear night was gone, replaced by a storm that roared like something alive. Rain hammered the pavement, wind tearing through leaves and sending street posters sailing in frantic spirals. She cursed under her breath. She hadn't checked the weather. Her thin jacket was a joke against the sudden cold. She ran across the street toward the parking garage, shoes slapping against the slick asphalt, her camera bag clutched tight against her chest to shield it from the rain. The garage was dim, most of the overhead lights flickering or dead. Sound echoed strangely inside. Her footsteps, distant engines, water dripping from pipes overhead. She knew this garage. She always parked on the far side where the rates were cheaper, less convenient, less safe. Tonight, that difference felt sharp. Her footsteps slowed when she saw movement near one of the concrete support pillars. A man stood there, one hand braced against the cold gray surface. Not drunk. The stillness in his posture said control, not carelessness. Rainwater trailed darkly through his hair, slicking it back from a sharp, angular face. He wore a charcoal coat, tailored and expensive, the kind that should belong to someone stepping out of a black car with a driver waiting, not someone hiding in the shadows of a parking structure. He pushed away from the pillar and walked toward a black sedan idling near the elevator. His stride was steady, but Elena saw it. Something off, a tension in the way he held his body. Pain, not visible, but present, like the way a camera captures details the human eye wants to skip. Something slid from his coat pocket and fell to the concrete with a soft, nearly inaudible thud. "Hey!" Elena called, taking a step forward. "You dropped!" The car door slammed shut. The engine revved. Headlights flared, then vanished down the ramp and into the storm outside. He didn't turn, didn't glance back, didn't hear her, or chose not to. Elena hesitated, then walked toward the fallen object. It was a wallet. Leather, hand-stitched, worn smooth from use. Not new, but clearly cared for. She picked it up, feeling the weight of it. Back in her apartment, rain still pounding outside, she placed the wallet on her table. Opening it felt wrong, private, but how else could she return it? She lifted the flap. Money. Crisp bills. More than she'd made in a month. Then a photograph. A little girl in a yellow sundress. Blonde hair tangled by summer wind. A wooden fence behind her. An apple tree. A teddy bear missing one eye. Elena stared. She knew that dress. She remembered the teddy bear. She remembered being told they lost it on a road trip when she was 7. The girl in the photo was her, but she had never seen this picture in her life. And the man in the parking garage, whoever he was, had carried it with him. Elena sat on the edge of her bed, unable to look away from the photograph again. The little girl in the yellow dress looked happy in that captured moment. Sunlight on her, hair-small hands hugging a one-eyed teddy bear. That backyard was her grandmother's house. A place she had not seen since childhood. A place tied to memories she barely understood now. She tried to steady her breathing, but her hands trembled with a feeling that was not shock but recognition, a truth she had never allowed herself to ask. Why did a stranger carry a photograph of her at 7 years old? She searched his name on her laptop. Luciano Belante. The results came fast. Headline after headline. Wealth investments, charitable boards, restaurants, nightclubs. But beneath the public version, there were whispers in darker corners of the internet, threads on anonymous forums, names mentioned in lowered tones. Mafia successor heir to an old empire danger in a tailored suite. Elena leaned back. The storm outside hammered against the window like something determined to get in. She remembered her mother's voice before the accident. Careful. Always be careful. Some people are not what they seem. Her throat tightened as if something hidden inside her memory almost surfaced but slipped away before she could grasp it. She knew what a normal person would do. Turn the wallet in. Walk away. Pretend she saw nothing. But she had lived too. Long in the quiet silence of unanswered questions, she could not pretend now. Not when the past had stepped into her hands and waited to be acknowledged. She had to return the wallet. She had to see him again, to ask him why, to ask him how to ask him what he knew that she did not. The next morning, rain was gone. Cold, bright sunlight filled the city streets. She dressed simply, black sweater, dark jeans tie, back her hair, keep her face unreadable. The address was easy to find. The Billionaire name opened. Doors even Google Maps seemed to understand without hesitation. The building rose like a monument of silence and expense. Dark-tinted windows reflecting the sky without revealing anything inside. 2 men stood by the entrance. Not guards in uniform, guards in posture. Guards in the cold stillness of how they watched her approach. She swallowed, her heart beating high in her chest. "I found something that belongs to Luciano," she said quietly. One guard glanced at the other, then stepped aside without a question, as if they had expected her, as if her arrival had been decided before she woke that morning. Inside the lobby, everything was marble and glass. Her footsteps sounded too loud. The elevator opened before she reached it. Someone must have been watching her on the cameras. Someone always watching. She stepped inside the doors, closed the elevator, rose with a whisper. Her reflection flickered in the mirrored walls, small, fragile, out of place. The doors opened to a private floor, a quiet hallway. Soft lighting, the sound of nothing at all. Then a voice, "Miss Marie's. We have been expecting you." She turned. A man stood there. Not Luciano, older, composed eyes that missed nothing. "I am. Santino, please come with me." He led her down the hall toward a set of double doors. Her palm grew damp around the wallet hidden in her coat. Her heart felt too loud, too breakable. The doors opened, and there he was. Luciano Billionaire, the man from the storm, the man from the shadows, the man who had carried a photograph of her childhood close enough to touch. He looked at her with calm, steady eyes, as if he had known this moment would always come. Elena lifted her chin. Her voice was steady, far steadier than she felt inside. "I need to know why you have this." She placed the photograph on the table between them. Luciano looked down at it, then back at her. Something flickered in his gaze. Not surprise, not guilt. Something older. Something heavy. "I have waited 17 years to see you again." The world did not move her. Breath did not move. Nothing moved, and the past finally began to wake. The room felt too quiet. Too still. The kind of quiet where truth waits in the air like a held breath. Luciano did not move toward her. Did not reach for her. He simply watched her, with those dark, steady eyes that never revealed more than he allowed. 17 years, she repeated inside her mind, that was almost her entire life. Elena wanted to step back. Run, call Vanessa. Go home and pretend this moment had not happened, but she could not. Because the photograph was still there on the table. Her childhood staring back at her, proof that her past was not just memory, it was unfinished. "Tell me what you mean," she said. Her voice did not shake, but her fingers curled tightly at her sides to keep them still. Luciano exhaled slowly, not tired, not impatient. More like someone remembering something he has carried too long. "When I was 15, he said my brother was killed. His name was Dario. He was the only person in this world I loved without condition. And he died protecting something. Someone. He paused. The silence did not feel empty. It felt weighted, like a secret being lowered between them before he died. He gave me one thing to safeguard a photograph of a little girl. In a yellow dress, Elena felt the world shift under her feet. Not physically, but inside her mind, as though a door that had always been locked had just started to open on its own. "Why would your brother have a picture of me?" she asked. She was proud of how steady her voice sounded, even though her heart beat in her throat. Luciano finally moved. He reached into an old wooden drawer and placed something gently beside the photograph. Not touching it, not pushing it toward her, just letting it exist. It was a letter creasing at the corners, folded and refolded so many times that the paper looked thin, almost transparent in some places. Her name was written on the front in handwriting. She recognized too well her father. Selena stared at it. Breath freezing in her chest. "My father wrote that," Luciano nodded once. Very slowly, almost respectfully, he asked for help. "He said my brother promised to protect you if anything happened, and when they died, when the car went off that road, when fire and metal and silence swallowed everything. Dario kept his promise. The concrete of the parking garage, the storm, the photograph her mother's warning every moment of her life snapped together like puzzle pieces that had always been meant to fit. Someone killed them, her parents. It had not been an accident. Her whole childhood had been a lie told to keep her from remembering, to keep her from knowing, and Luciano, the man whose name people whispered. The man she was supposed to fear was the one who had been protecting her all along, not watching her life, but guarding its edges. Elena felt her knees weaken and sank into the nearest chair. Her mind, lightening, her breath uneven. "Why me?" She whispered, her voice almost gone. "Why protect me? Why does any of this matter?" Luciano stepped closer, but not close enough to touch, close enough for her to see the pain behind his composed expression. Pain that had lived there a long time. Because the night they died, he said, "Your father called my brother, and his last words were, 'Do not let them find here.'" Elena closed her eyes, and the world she thought she belonged to began to break. Lena kept her eyes closed for a long moment. If she opened them, she worried the world would be different, that everything would be changed in ways she could not undo. But when she finally lifted her gaze, Luciano was still there, unmoving, watching her with the quiet patience of someone who had carried the truth alone for too many years. "You were never supposed to know. He said your parents tried to save you. They tried to leave the life behind. They tried to walk away, but no one walks away from men. Like we grew up under. No one escapes without." Costalena felt something burn behind her ribs. Anger, fear, grief. All tangled together, she thought. She remembered her father laughing in the kitchen, her mother brushing her hair summer light in their house. She remembered love. But now the memories twisted, as if she had never really understood what her parents were hiding. "You said they died in a car accident." She said that is what everyone said. That is what they made sure was printed in the papers. "How did you know?" "It was not an accident," Luciano did not look away. "I know because I watched the road after I saw the skid marks that did not match the report. I saw the burn pattern that did not match the fuel. I saw the second set of tracks that were never mentioned." Her breath left her. The room felt smaller. Air heavy like walls were closing in. Bit by bit, someone murdered them. She whispered, not asked, not questioned. Stated because the truth finally had shape and weight and breath. Easy said, the sound of that single word was a blade splitting the last illusions. She held, her hands shook. She gripped her knees to steady herself. Memories flickered like broken film. The teddy bear. Her mother's voice saying, "Hurry!" Her father locking the door twice. The smell of smoke shouting sirens, hands pulling her from the car. Except she had always remembered it wrong. Or someone helped her remember it wrong. Why did no one tell me? She said, her voice uneven but growing stronger. Why keep this from me? Why let me live like everything was normal? Because they were still watching you, he replied. Because the people who killed them needed to know you, were harmless, unaware, unconnected, a child without value to them. The moment you remembered, the moment you asked questions, you became a threat. Elena's heart slammed into her chest. The wallet, the photograph, the man in the garage. The timing was not coincidence. Nothing in her life had ever been coincidence. You came to me because they were coming first, she whispered. Luciano's jaw tightened. Not in fear, but in acknowledgement. Yes, the world outside the window moved on. Cars, sirens, voices, but in that room, time felt held by a single thread. If they are coming for me. Why now, she asked. Why, after all these years? Luciano stepped closer, at last not touching her, but near enough that she felt warmth, gravity, presence. Because someone finally found out where you are, he said. Someone who wants you gone because your parents left something unfinished. Elena's pulse pounded in her ears. What did they leave? Luciano held her gaze, unflinching, inevitable. Proof, the word struck like thunder. The proof that could destroy the men who killed them, and now they believe you have. Elena felt the word echo inside her like a door swinging open into darkness. Proof, the reason her parents died. The reason a stranger had carried her childhood photograph for 17 years. The reason her life had never truly been her own. She stood slowly, her legs unsteady but her eyes steady. Now she looked at Luciano with something new. Not fear, not trust. Something sharper. A demand for truth. Where is it? She asked. Where? Is this proof they think I have? Luciano did not answer immediately. He studied her as if deciding how much she was ready to hear, or how much she could survive. Knowing your father hid it, he said at last. He hid it where only someone who understood him would think to look. Your mother knew the risk. She was the one who sent me away. The words felt heavy, like they belonged to another lifetime. A memory tried to surface again. Her mother kneeling, hands shaking, a hurried whisper in Elena's ear. Go now. Do not look back. Run. The memory was real. Not imagined. Not softened. It rose like something breaking through water at last. Elena pressed her hand to her chest. The room swayed just slightly. The truth was not a clean thing. It was jagged. It cut. Luciano watched her quietly, not moving to catch her, not moving to comfort her, but present, solid, like something to hold on to if she chose to. They are already searching for you, he said. They broke into your apartment last night. Her stomach tightened. She did not need him to describe it. She could see it in her mind. Drawers moved. Photographs touched her life, turned over by hands that did not know her, or worse. Hands that did. Someone is watching you now, Luciano said, waiting for you to lead them to what your father left. You cannot go back there. Elena looked up sharply. No punctuation, just raw breath. So what now? Do I hide? Do I run? Do I disappear? Luciano shook his head. No. Running, no hiding. They will not stop, and you deserve the truth. You deserve to choose your own life. His voice was low. Not commanding. Not soft. Just real. Undeniably real. Come with me, he said. I can keep you alive. I can give you the answers you were never supposed to find. But once you know them, you cannot unknow them. The room seemed to hold its breath with her, the air thick, the choice trembling in her chest. She thought of Vanessa, of their coffee shop table, of laughter that was real and small and safe. She thought of the life she had built, tiny, careful, quiet, a life designed to not be seen. And she saw it for what it had always been, a hiding place, not a home. Elena inhaled slowly. Her voice did not shake when she spoke. I am not running anymore. Luciano nodded once, a single sharp thread of relief crossing his eyes. Then we leave. Now Santino stepped from the doorway as if he had been waiting for that exact sentence which he had. Elena picked up the photograph. The little girl in the yellow dress. The sunlight. The one-eyed bear. It felt like holding her own ghost. But this time she carried it with purpose. Luciano opened the door. The world outside was no longer the same world she had lived in the day before, and she stepped into it anyway. They left through a private service elevator that did not ding or announce itself. The hallway they entered was quiet, lights dim. The city sounded far away, even though it was just on the other side of the walls. Santino walked ahead. Luciano followed just behind Elena, not touching her but close enough that she could feel his presence like a shield around her. The elevator opened into an underground garage, sleek cars lined in perfect order. But one black SUV waited with the engine already running. Someone had known they would need to leave. Someone had planned. Every second. Elena slid into the back seat. Luciano took the seat beside her. Santino sat in front without looking back. The doors locked automatically. The moment the vehicle began to move, Elena looked through the tinted window. The city was still the same city. Neon signs, late-night taxis. The rush of people who did not know their world held shadows. But for her, every shape now carried intention. Every corner held eyes. They have been watching you longer than you realize. Luciano said, his voice quiet, measured the warehouse district, the grocery market, the studio where you rented equipment. They were waiting for you to lead them to something. But you never knew what you were supposed to be looking for. So they kept waiting. Elena felt a slow, icy realization. Her entire life had been a cage she had never seen. So what changed? She asked, the words soft, but heavy. Someone inside their organization panicked. Santino answered, his voice steady like stone. Someone fears the past is coming back, and fear leads to mistakes. The SUV turned sharply, gliding through narrow streets, moving with purpose. Luciano leaned back, just slightly looking at her, but not in the way most people look. Not curious, not judging, not attempting to read her as if he already knew the shape of her thoughts before she formed them. You were never meant to stay hidden forever. He said your parents believed you would one day need to choose to bury the truth or to face it. Elena looked down at the photograph in her hands. The edges soft. The colors faded. The child she once was stared back at her with open trust. That little girl had believed the world was good, safe, kind. Now Elena understood that safety was something built, not given. Where are we going? She asked. To a place where they cannot reach you. Yet Luciano said, somewhere. We can look for what your father left without being hunted. Every second. Elena nodded. Once it did not feel like surrender. It felt like stepping into something she had been walking toward her entire life. The SUV slowed as they entered a private tunnel, gated, guarded, lit by low white lights that cast long shadows, just before the tunnel swallowed them. Elena saw a car in the distance, a dark sedan sitting too still, lights off, windows. Black, watching. Her breath caught. Luciano saw it too. He did not tense, he did not speak. He simply placed his hand on the seat beside her. Not touching her, but ready, the SUV disappeared into the tunnel. The darkness closing around them, the world above forgotten for the moment. Santino spoke into a radio voice, low, measured, like this was routine. But Elena understood something now. This was not escape. This was the beginning of the hunt, and she was no longer prey. The safe house was not what Elena expected. She imagined darkness, locked doors, cold concrete walls. Instead, it was an old farmhouse outside the city, surrounded by quiet fields and trees that moved gently in the night wind. It felt almost peaceful, which only made the danger more real. Because peace can be camouflage. Santino checked the perimeter without needing to be asked. Luciano opened the door for her and let her step in first, as if this place for a brief moment belonged to her. 2. A fire burned low in the fireplace. The air smelled like cedar and old wood. It reminded her of autumn in her grandmother's house. For a second, she felt 8 years old again. Sunlight grass, her mother's arms around her. The teddy bear, with the missing eye. She stood still, trying to hold on to the memory before it slipped away again. Luciano watched her, not intruding, just watching as if he understood that she was standing in the space between who she had been and who she was becoming. "You remember something," he said, not a question. A recognition. Elena nodded, hands tightening at her sides. "Yes, but it feels like looking through water, like everything is blurred, like I am supposed to remember more, but something keeps pulling it away." Luciano stepped closer, never touching, but close enough that his presence felt like warmth. "Your mind protected you. Memory hides what would have destroyed you then. But now you are strong enough to see." His words did not feel like praise. They felt like truth. Led her to a small wooden box on a shelf carved on the lid. Was a symbol she knew without knowing why. A small sun hand drawn imperfect, her father's marker breath caught her hand. Hovered over the lid. Fear and longing tangled in her chest. "Open it." Luciano said, the voice gentle. The voice of someone who understood that some doors could not be rushed. Elena slowly lifted the lid. Inside was a stack of photographs. Letters, dried flowers pressed between paper, and one small flash drive wrapped in cloth, as if it were fragile, as if it were dangerous. Her heart beat. Hard. The room felt silent in a new way. Not empty, but waiting. These were things her parents left behind. Things meant for her. Her fingers shook as she lifted a letter addressed with her name, handwriting soft and slanted. Her mother's handwriting. Elena closed her eyes. Air stilled in her lungs. She unfolded the paper. "My beautiful girl, if you are reading this, we could not protect you as we hoped, but we believe you will understand. One day, why we made the choices we made. You were never meant to live in fear. You were meant to live free." Elena stopped reading. Her vision blurred, not from tears, from memory, from something inside her. Unlocking at last. She remembered her mother crying. Quietly in the kitchen, her father whispering, "This cannot continue. We have to stop them. We have to try." They were trying to save people, not just themselves, not just her. They were trying to expose something monstrous. Luciano watched her face. He saw the shift, the change, the awakening. "Someone will come for this," she whispered. "They will not stop." Luciano nodded once. Slow, certain. "Then let them come." The fire crackled. The wind moved through the trees outside. The night waited, and Elena, for the first time, did not feel like she was running from her past. She felt like she was walking toward it. Night settled over the farmhouse like a heavy blanket. The world outside was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that listen. Selena sat on the floor with the letters spread around her, each one a whisper from the past, each one a step toward the truth. She had been denied. Her hands moved slowly, carefully, as if these papers could break, as if the memories inside them already had. Luciano watched her from near the window, shadows tracing his face, his posture still alert, like a predator at rest, like someone who had learned long ago that peace was always borrowed. Zentino had not come back inside yet. He circled the property like a silent guardian, boots sinking into soft earth eyes, shifting to every dark shape between the trees. The flash drive sat on the table. Small, ordinary, but everything in the house felt drawn to it. Even the firelight seemed to hesitate near it, as if the truth inside, it could change everything. And it could. Elena finally looked up, her voice low, unhurried but heavy with meaning. "My parents died because of what is on that drive." Luciano nodded once. Yes, she reached for it, but his hand stopped her, not grabbing, just gently blocking the movement. "Not yet," he said. "When we open it, we are no longer preparing. We are acting, and when we act, the world will move with us, or against us. There will be no turning back." Elena studied him. The steadiness in his eyes, the quiet, strength in his stillness, the grief he carried like a shadow that never left. You have lost people too, she said, not a question, a truth rising between them. Luciano met her gaze without flinching. I have lost more than I have kept. Their eyes held not, soft, not romantic, something deeper, the recognition of two people who had been shaped by the same kind of breaking. Then the night shifted, not sound, not movement, a feeling. The air tightened. The hairs on Elena's arms. Rosa Santino opened the door fast. Controlled, urgent, but not panicked. They found us, he said. Luciano was already moving hand against Elena's back, guiding her away from the windows, not pushing, just positioning a shield made of quiet certainty. Headlights cut through the trees outside. Slow, deliberate, predatory, not rushed. No need to rush. They believed they were hunting something cornered. Elena felt her pulse pound. Not in fear, in clarity, in readiness. She was not the same woman who had walked into Luciano's office. She was someone who knew the shape of her loss. Now someone who had stopped running from her ghost. Luciano looked at her, his voice steady. The center of the storm. You stay close to me. Elena nodded once without hesitation. The car outside stopped its engine humming, low like a threat. Resting, a door opened, footsteps on gravel. Slow measured confidence. Antino drew his weapon, moving to the shadows. Luciano did not draw his yet. He stepped forward toward the door, toward whoever had come. Elena followed him, not behind, him beside him. The porch light flickered. The wind picked up. The air felt charged alive. A figure stepped into the light coat. Dark face half-shadowed, familiar in a way that made Elena's breath catch. It was not a stranger. It was someone she had once known, someone she had once trusted, someone she had never suspected. And when they spoke, their voice was calm, almost gentle. Hello, Elena, I told you the past would find you. The world did not break it. Simply changed shape, and nothing would ever be the same again. The figure stepped fully into the glow of the porch light, and Elena felt something inside her twist disbelief. Hurt recognition. Vanessa. Her best friend, the one who laughed with her in coffee shops, the one who held her during panic attacks, the one who told her everything would be okay, the one she trusted without ever questioning why, the one who had walked every step of her quiet life beside her. Vanessa stood with her hands in her coat pockets, not defensive, not threatening, just there, like she belonged in the middle of this night, in the middle of this danger, as if she had always belonged here. Elena felt heat bloom in her chest, confusion and betrayal spinning together until her breath shook. You knew, she said, not loud, not weak, just truth breaking the surface. Vanessa's expression was soft, almost sad. I have always known. Luciano shifted just slightly, his presence moving in front of Elena, not blocking, protecting, reading the space, the air, the moment he had already seen. What Elena was only now realizing, Vanessa was not surprised to see him. Vanessa was not surprised by the guards. Vanessa was not surprised by the house. Vanessa had never been surprised by anything, because Vanessa had been watching too. Elena's voice came out low, steady, tired in a way that felt like marrow deep. How? Long Vanessa's eyes softened in something like regret or guilt or something more complicated than both. Since the night they died, the memory slammed into Elena. Flashes, sirens, smoke, cold night air, gloved hands lifting her mother's voice echoing. Run, a figure standing on the road watching the fire, a silhouette she could never identify. Vanessa, you were there. Elena said, her hands shaking now, not from fear but from the truth. Ripping through every bone, Vanessa took one slow step forward. Luciano's hand lifted just slightly, a silent warning. Do not come closer, Vanessa stopped, her voice calm, almost gentle. Elena, I did not hurt them. I tried to save you. I have been trying to save you ever since. Elena shook her head. Her heartbeat wild, the night cold, but her skin burning. You lied to me. You stood in my home. You held me while I cried for years. You knew, and you said nothing. Vanessa's voice tightened. I could not tell. You. If you knew the truth before you were ready, they would have found you. They would have ended you the way they ended them. I had to watch. I had to stay close. I had to make sure you did not remember. Too soon, Luciano's gaze sharpened. Not with anger, with recognition. He knew this kind of loyalty. The twisted kind. The desperate kind. The kind born from grief and fear. And Tino moved from the shadows silent, a signal that others were closing in beyond the trees. The house was surrounded now, eyes in the dark, guns in the branches. A storm about to break. Lena stepped toward Vanessa, not afraid, not hesitant. Something stronger than fear had taken root now. If you were protecting me then, why are you here now? Vanessa exhaled, slow breaking like someone letting go of something heavy, because it is too late to hide you anymore. They know who you are. They know where you are, and they are coming. The wind rose. The trees swayed the air, held the moment in its teeth. Luciano's voice cut through the night, measured, cold-focused. Then we end it. Elena did not look away from Vanessa. Her heart did not tremble. Her voice did not break. She said the words she had never believed herself capable of saying. I am not running. Anymore. Vanessa closed her eyes like she knew this day would come. Then she opened them, and everything changed. Vanessa opened her eyes, and the night no longer felt still. It felt like truth had finally arrived. She stepped back from the porch light and into the shadows, as if she belonged there, as if she had always been part of the darkness that followed. Elena, the men, and the trees began to move shapes, shifting in the branches. The field whispering with footsteps. Danger closing in like a slow. Tide Santino raised his weapon. Luciano stepped forward. Elena did not move. Vanessa lifted one hand, not to threaten, to signal. The movement stopped. The men did not fire. They did not advance. They waited. Vanessa spoke with a voice that sounded tired, older than the years she carried. The truth is not what you think. Elena felt, her heart tighten. Ready, braced, but nothing could prepare her. Your father was not the only one trying to stop them. Vanessa said, my mother was too. The memory hit her mother, and Vanessa's mother at the kitchen table. Soft voices shared glances, a friendship she had forgotten. Vanessa stepped back into the light, and the sadness in her face was not the sadness of betrayal, but the sadness of someone who had carried the weight of 2 lives. Your mother saved you. Elena, and she saved me. She hid me too. She took me in, and when everything went wrong, I could not save her. But I swore I would never let them take you. Elena's breath broke in her chest. The world spun, not from fear, from grief, finally given shape. Then who killed them? She asked, her voice soft, raw. Real. Vanessa's voice lowered, steady as stone. A man named Valerio, the one your father tried to expose, the one who believed your family held proof that could destroy him. The one who believed your life was a loose end. Elena felt the night tilt, not collapse. Transform. Luciano stepped closer. His voice was quiet. Dangerous, alive. Valerio is the one I have been hunting for years. Santino's eyes shifted. We have his location now. Vanessa nodded. I led them here so that we would end this together, so that you would not have to run anymore. Realization struck. Elena. Vanessa had not brought death to the door, she had brought an ending. Elena looked at Luciano. Their eyes held a silence passed between them that said everything. Trust, understanding, shared loss, shared purpose. No more running. Luciano offered his hand, not a command. A choice. Elena placed her hand in his. No fear. No hesitation. Vanessa stepped beside them. Santino moved ahead. The men in the trees closed in behind. The night no longer hunted Elena. She moved with it, through it, into the heart of the truth that had been waiting 17 years. They reached the old abandoned estate on the edge of the city. Valerio waited inside, surrounded by the life he had built on blood and silence. Elena walked through the doors first. Valerio turned, and for the first time he saw the child who was never supposed to survive. But she was not a child anymore. The confrontation did not need shouting nor violence. Described her voice alone was enough. You took everything from me, but you did not break. Me Valerio saw it. The resolve, the lineage, the promise kept, have fell not by a gun, not by force, but by the one truth. He had feared, the files, the flash drive, the evidence, every crime laid bare, every secret exposed. The world turned against him. Justice delivered not by vengeance, but by truth. Days passed, the danger faded. The farmhouse remained a quiet place where scars could breathe. Luciano stood with Elena under the morning light. No words needed, no promises required. Two lives shaped by grief, now shaped by choice. Vanessa stayed no longer a shadow, no longer hiding. Just a friend finally allowed to exist in the open. Elena held the photograph of the little girl in the yellow dress. She did not fear it anymore. She placed it on the mantel where the fire warmed it gently. She was not running, not hiding, not broken.